Hi there, Virgo. Thanks for joining me. So at the bottom of the deck um, is this Five of Pentacles. And this card usually comes up when we've been feeling left out in the cold. Maybe we've been concerned about our finances and feeling a bit alone, like we don't have the support we need, whether, again, it's financially or spiritually or from other people. And sort of the traditional message about this card is they're right here next to this. They're out in the cold and they're right here next to this. It's usually a church, but this place where they could go in and get warm. So it's saying that if you look at your situation a little differently, one thing is it could be a poverty mentality and sort of the law of attraction. If you're always focusing on that you lack, that there's never enough, then that's what you bring in. But from it's kind of different sides of the same coin. It's like gratitude. Like if you look at what you do have, I have a roof over my head. I have a hot water. I have running hot water. I have a job to go to. Start looking at the things you do have. That can help pull you out of this slump. But it could also be that maybe maybe you should apply for different jobs, ask for a promotion. Look, that you may be missing obvious opportunities, like this obvious warm church right next to them. They're just not seeing. Maybe you're missing some obvious opportunities to help your situation. There's someone you could ask for help and things like that. And once you shift your thinking, we have these three of probably some of the best major arcana cards. So if you can wrap your head around this, and if you're going, no, that's not true. I don't have enough money. I have all these bills. I mean, you're just, and I'm not saying that that's not true, but it's like if you're determined that things suck, then you're kind of telling the universe you don't want to move forward. So if you can shift your thinking and realize you have everything you need, that's what the magician tells us. You have all the tools you need to create the life you want. Maybe you're stuck in a job you hate, and maybe you need to look at a totally different career, but maybe you need to move. Maybe, you know what I mean? Maybe you need to downsize. But there are things you can do that will help you manifest the life you want. It's all here. The only person holding you back is you, and it really points to you need to go for it. You need to stop playing it safe. Doesn't seem to be making you happy or making you feel more secure. So try applying for that new job, changing your career, moving. Whatever it is you kind of want to do, but you've resigned yourself that it just isn't possible for you. You need to take a leap of faith, take a chance in yourself to change your life so that you don't feel like this. Maybe you need to ask someone. Maybe you've been single and you've been lonely, but you don't put yourself out there. Maybe that's saying, okay, put yourself out there. I have wax all over my table. I spilled a candle. Sorry, that's what I got distracted. And that's how you're going to heal the situation, is by making some changes. Things aren't going to get better by thinking the same way or doing the same thing you've always done. So if somehow you've resigned yourself to, I'm never going to have enough, you may perpetuate that state unknowingly, just by not looking at other opportunities or trying. And if maybe say, have tried in the past and it's failed, well, but failure, you learn from it. There's some, I can't remember who it is, Warren Buffett, or I don't remember who it is, some billionaire who says, I don't like to invest in people unless they've failed several times, because there's so much value in failure. And so again, that shift in thinking, that shift in perspective, like, all right, well, I won't make those mistakes again. Maybe I'll make new ones, but I have to move forward. So start dreaming again, start hoping and wishing and moving towards those things, and you will begin to heal, and that emptiness you're feeling will begin to fill as well, and you won't feel that way anymore. But it's kind of got to be up to you whether you're going to continue to do the same things, or really take a chance on yourself and the life you want. I think for some of you, this is really, really hard, because we are conditioned that being nice people means sort of supporting people and giving people chances, and you have to work on your marriage or this relationship. You can't give up on it. You're a bad person if you walk away from someone. All these things. But being emotionally mature, which this Queen of Cups is, means feeling your emotions, understanding your emotions, but not allowing them to make all your decisions for you. For example, someone sends you a nasty email at work. The mature Queen of Cups does not instantly fire off an equally nasty email because that email they got really, hit something inside and got them all worked up. The mature, emotionally mature Queen of Cups sits on it for a day or so, or asks a trusted friend to read it and make sure the emotion is stripped out of it. She doesn't get sucked into that. She doesn't get lowered down to someone else's level because it gets her emotions. It gets her angry or worried or pissed or whatever. She rides it out. She gives it some time, and she doesn't. Yeah, she just doesn't get sucked in. But she also, in that way, though, she makes choices not based on guilt or pity or shame or any of those things. She may understand that the decision doesn't make her happy, but it's necessary, and she does it anyway. She's not guilted or allows someone to emotionally manipulate her into tolerating behaviors that aren't acceptable. Because I'm saying that because we have a couple cards. We have this Four of Pentacles, and I love this version of it because it really depicts that this card is about boundaries to me. So here's this guy. He's huddling with all of his things. He has all of his things, and he's, like, no one take it. I got all my stuff with me. But then it's like, this is his family, and he's literally built a wall because he's so concerned about his stuff, his material things, and is sort of completely missing the fact that he's shut his family out. Like, his priorities are completely out of whack. So his boundaries priorities have really gone too far one way. But at the same time, it could tell you need to put up boundaries. You don't need to do it to the extreme, but just the concept of boundaries. Maybe your boundaries have been too weak and you need to communicate, which is this guy, and you need to change your thinking about things too. Because I think you have been worried about standing up to someone. They have maybe been emotionally manipulating you and you feel guilty or worried. But once you wrap your head around that, of boundaries and not allowing your emotions to make your decision, that doesn't mean you don't feel them and you don't understand them and you don't work them into the equation, but it's not a reaction. You're still taking purposeful action. You're taking action, not just reacting to everything. This is kind of an interesting card because of this fire. It's like, oh, did he do that? Did he set something on fire? And maybe you're afraid of communicating, and things might go up in flames, but someone needs to hear, whether it's a friend at work, a relationship partner, you need to have that talk. And it's that talk that could, I mean, these people who have such strong boundaries tend to ignore other people's boundaries the most. They tend to be the most insensitive to other people's boundaries, which is ironic. Um, but you need to have that conversation. I think you've been putting it off. You have been worried about it. You have been really worried, like, about hurting someone else's feelings. But being emotionally mature means I don't have to accept this and I can't control other people's reactions. But I respect myself too much to allow this to continue. Um, so speaking up, you may do it in an inspiring way, like, hey, I just drew a blank, so maybe it didn't want me to go down that path that I was just thinking of. But it's like you want to get your mojo back. You want to feel inspired again. You don't want to be feeling like this out in the cold from someone. So you got to speak up because you want to live an exciting, positive, inspired, motivated life. And you're ready to move. I think you've felt stunted and shut out and stagnant because of it. And I think you're finally, like, you might have a couple sleepless nights, but you're finally going to do it, to lay down some boundaries, speak up, all those things. And then we have this beautiful Ace of Cups. So whether the person gets it or the situation is done because they just, if someone's like, no, I refuse to respect your boundaries, believe them. Like, hello, that's the red flag. I mean, when people show you who they are, believe them, right? That's the big thing. And trust yourself and respect yourself enough to say, well, I can't accept that. I can't accept being treated poorly or being not a priority. And so once you've learned how to respect your emotional well-being, you have this beautiful new beginning where you do feel better and you're going to feel more confident about yourself, even if it doesn't go well. If you can stick up for yourself in a calm, mature manner, then if the other person can't deal with it, well, you communicated clearly. It wasn't a reaction. It was a thoughtful, planned, hey, I have my needs and my boundaries as well. It's a two-way street. And if they don't want to respect that, that's on them. And if they do, wonderful. That's how mature relationships are supposed to work, or so I've heard. And the Seven of Pentacles is all about, it's about patience. It's about understanding that things are a process and there are certain things that just take a certain amount of time and you can't rush them. Growing a baby inside you, planting crops. And so the example a lot of people that were taught is that, a farmer can prepare the ground the best he can and plant his seed and make sure he waters it and the soil's good and is protected and it gets enough sun and all that stuff and water. But no amount of, like, yelling at the corn or getting impatient and tapping his foot and doing all these other things is going to make that corn grow any faster than it's going to grow. It's a process and that's it. And now it does take some judgment because, if you're getting upset over after a week that it's not a full grown ear of corn, your expectations are not realistic. But if it's been 2 months and the seed hasn't even come out of the ground, then you have to realize, okay, you've given this enough time, it's not working. Then, so where are you on that? Something is, you're needing to judge if you're being impatient or if you've been patient enough and it's time to move on from something. But if you're in the middle zone where it's still an acceptable amount of time for something to be happening, to be patient and not to kind of ruin it by having unrealistic expectations or trying to force something that can't be forced. So what I'm seeing is that for some of you, um, if you've been in a situation, it's time to sort of judge. If you've been, we'll use an example in a at work, and say you've been helping a colleague out because they were kind of telling you they had too much work, and even though you're busy, you were able to sort of absorb some work, and you were thinking, this was temporary, that they were a little busy and this needed. But now here you are 6 months later and you're still carrying this, and you see them on Facebook and stuff like that. That would be an example, obviously, when, all right, I've been more than enough patient with the situation, and now it's just turned into them taking advantage of me. Or let's be where I have allowed them to take advantage of me. And so it's a time to like shift the balance back and say, here, this is yours, and I was happy to help, but I'm going to give this back to you. And it's time. I've been more than patient. And it could be in a relationship. Like if you feel like you're always the one planning things, trying to spend time together, and the other person's always off with their friends or going to the gym, or to the point where you feel like, you're doing all the giving and taking. You have to weigh these things, or maybe you have to check yourself. Like, wow, I really rely on my partner financially too much, or this or that, and I really need to step up because I maybe have worn out my welcome in some situation. And it can be so this type of situation where feels like some people are, are you being impatient or too patient? What's going on? Because these situations can cause strife, and this will wear on relationships. In work, it's bad for morale. It's in a personal relationship, it builds, or any relationship or situation, it builds resentment and kind of a lack of trust. Because if you told, oh, thank you for your help, it'll be temporary, and then it just becomes the way it is. It's, people don't like that. So the Chariot, it's like, all right, time to make an action plan to get a new job, to move on. So I do feel like for a lot of you, you've been patient enough, and it's time to move on. It's time to take the reins and stop waiting around. And if at work you've been hearing, oh, we're going to give you a raise, we're thinking of this position for you, but it never comes through, it's time to go. It's kind of like that concept that I've been talking about lately of like gambling. Like, how much are you willing to put in of yourself into a situation like a slot machine? Like, how much? And maybe when the minute you say, oh, I'm looking for something else, or I'm going to move on, or I'm done with this, or they're like, give you a little, a little payoff, a little bit. And it's like, don't be fooled by that. You've given enough time, and the situation it is what it is in the present. You can't go by what people say it's going to be. How it's been and how it is currently is the situation. And if it's not equitable, or hasn't been, had its ups and downs, but overall balances out, it's time to move on. So take action. Don't just react to something. This card tells you, okay, this isn't working. And instead of just getting out of the situation and taking whatever is available, take the time to make a real plan of where you want to go. Use this as a reassessment time and figure out a plan, and then move forward. So something will be illuminated this week. It's like, shining a spotlight on something. You have the Ten of Swords, and this is where this is coming from. It's like you won't be able to ignore the elephant in the room anymore. And often these things are like the straw that broke the camel's back. It isn't so much some giant event, but it's like, you're just like, that's it. I'm done. Like all of a sudden you didn't realize it, but it was that one little drop in the bucket that just filled it, and it's like you've reached your threshold and you're not going to tolerate anymore. You just can't. So it's a real aha moment. Like, why have I been tolerating this? Why have I been dealing with this? Why have I been doing this? Why have I been spending all this time and energy thinking of worrying about someone else, trying to control someone else, trying to understand someone else when it's just that's the way it is. And sometimes it's just stop spending energy on things you can't control, and stop tolerating situations that are unhealthy for you or that's causing you mental anguish. And it's kind of like you're just like, oh, what am I doing? Like, it's just um you just get it, you just see it all of a sudden. And lots of times we're in denial. We It takes us a while to get it, and you're getting it. Um, and then you have these two beautiful earth signs. So it's like you've been spending all this time maybe lately in your head worrying about, and this isn't your whole life or anything. This is maybe some situation that's just been really just a constant. It may not even be something big, but it doesn't have to be very big to really kind of infect all your life, into spread into everything, like, and just sort of have this underlying just stress is the best way. So you're alleviating that stress, and it's just taken this like switch in your perspective. Like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? I'm not dealing with this anymore. I'm not dealing with this person, this situation. I'm not. I'm just not getting sucked in anymore. I'm done. I'm walking away, and I'm not. It's not my. It's just not going to be on your mind anymore. You're putting an end to it, and you're going to really being out of your head. You're able to be more grounded again, and feel calmer and more centered. This King of Pentacles here. He's You're going to pay attention to more practical matters, and control your own environment instead of trying to control or worry or understand or um, how someone else is thinking, their behavior and things like that. You're like, you know what? I'm going to worry about my health, what I'm eating, taking care of things around the house. And I'm going to busy myself with those practical things I can do to make my immediate world better. And things that I control, and work on myself and things that will improve my life. And other people can worry about themselves. I'm not getting sucked in. I'm not spending any more energy on other people's drama, other people's situation. I think you need to block someone. You need to cut someone off. You need to stop going to the gym. That's always weird. You need to find a new daycare. You need to get a new job. You know what I mean? Or you need to just get rid of you need to get rid of whatever's totally stressing you out, and taking practical, slow steps. It doesn't have to be I hate my job, I'm quitting. But it's like something clicks and you're just like, you know what? I'm going to go to work. I'm going to do my job. I'm not getting sucked in. I'm going to put my earphones in if you can. I'm just going to pay attention, keep my head down. I'm not going to keep banging my head against the wall, trying to fix something that no one seems to be interested in fixing, and I'm just going to quietly look for another job. Like, it's that type of energy, but something clicks. So you're no longer coming home just like pissed and furious and complaining to everyone in your household. And you're going to be able to heal that way. You're going to be like, what job do I really want? What type of relationship do I really want? You're going to start healing, because I don't think you're going to have realized how much this has been affecting you. And so having this realization is really going to be healing in every part of your life. So you guys, it's like you guys are getting ready to wrap up one part of your life and move on to something new, or start a new project, or maybe you're looking for a new job, or you could want to move. You could be, maybe you've been contemplating starting a YouTube channel or starting a side business or moving. It could be anything, but you're in the planning stages of wrapping something up because you're inspired to move on to something new, to start a new way of life in at least some area of your life. So this is like a culmination of one chapter and moving on to something new. And it's probably a creative slash work type project. The Seven of Cups is the energy. So you've really been daydreaming about this and planning and scheming and thinking and spending a lot of time daydreaming and planning how what you want your new way of life to be. And this week you're moving from the all in your head and the creative process to actually taking some practical steps. So if you want to open a brewery, which is very popular up here in Vermont, you're going to actually they actually have a class at the university here on like I don't know what it is, but on how to like run a brewery. Like literally. So maybe that's like look around, start looking at YouTube, you can find tons of classes online that are very reputable or even local classes you can go to, or you're taking the steps that you can take so you can start making this a reality. You're learning, you're maybe volunteering or doing an apprenticeship, or on the weekends, your spare time, you're learning about this because you're really motivated to make this a reality. You're really motivated to start a new way of life. And this is the week it's going to transform from just sort of a daydream to I'm gonna actually make this a reality. And if anyone can do it, you guys are doers and motivated and have the charisma to be an entrepreneur and really be able to sell your ideas to other people and get people excited and motivated about your ideas. So you may be talking to people for backing or trying to find partners or just connecting with that catchphrase right now, finding your tribe and connecting with people with your same area of interest to network and figure out how to make this a reality. The Four of Rods, which is, or someone's getting a new home, or someone's moving in together, or someone got married and is buying their own home. But this is a card of milestones, but it's also known as the marriage card, the house card, things like that. So some sort of, could be a celebration where people come together. Maybe you're making your Thanksgiving plans, things like that. Maybe you're bringing your significant other to the holidays for the first time, or someone in your family is, you're going to meet someone. But this is, so, I mean, I don't usually read this card, but the way they're behind this curtain. So it's like maybe you're coming out with a relationship, like you've been kind of keeping it to yourself and haven't really, like a lot of people, you haven't, for whatever reason, haven't really been sharing with people that you have been seeing someone for whatever reason. And it's like, okay, it's time to go public, time to meet the family, time to let people know, like it's gotten to a certain level where you're ready to go public with it. And this could be, this is a really loving relationship. Like you're really emotionally connected and supportive of each other. It could be someone who works in some sort of healing field, or helping people, counseling people in any sort of hospital, health field. Just someone that, I get the feeling it's one of those people that is, they volunteer, they work at a nonprofit, like someone that people really respect because they're just known to be a kind, helpful person. Um, and it could be maybe you hear someone eloped. This can be contracts or something. Something someone's making it official. They're getting a house together. All sorts of those things. If there are any sort of legal things, or maybe a divorce is final, and so if someone had met someone while they were in the divorce process, they've kept it on the down low, and now it's coming out. Now that that they're officially divorced or something like that. It's interesting. The Tower was underneath this Justice card. So I feel like for some of you, you are finding a relationship. Maybe relationships hadn't been so great in the past, hadn't really worked out, and you feel like you've really found a soulmate, a connection, a balance. This is all about balance. And it just feels good. It feels validated. It's like, oh, feels good to know that you can have a good, healthy relationship. Because sometimes I think in this world, it's elusive. So those are nice cards. But if you've had some bad experiences in the past, I think those days are fading away, and you're moving forward with a new or your current partner in a much happier place. All right, let's move on to Libra. Hi, Libra. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to pull a few cards from the Anna K Tarot. Hope you're doing well. Oh, it's getting windy again here. We had a huge windstorm. The school was closed on Monday, actually, because of it. All sorts of power was out. I don't know why I always talk about the weather like you guys care. King of Cups, Six of Cups. So Six of Cups this time of year, some of you are just planning on going home for the holidays. Okay, the Justice, she was just out for Virgo. Really mundane, literal reading. There could be some child support issues going on. Maybe you guys are maybe if you're divorced, you're trying to figure out who's taking the children for the holidays and stuff like that. Maybe it's going to be your first holiday without the kids. So maybe you're feeling a little bit alone, or maybe you broke up with someone and like it's weird not being around their family for the holidays. So, the holidays can come with some sadness, especially or it could be something like preparing for the holiday. In America, we have Thanksgiving coming up in this month. So it could be like your first Thanksgiving without your dad. Something like that. And it's just sort of, you're sort of dreading it, maybe. Something, and that's just for a select few. And this, I'm not saying your dad's going to die. Like this is just like, okay, here's or it's just always hard this time of year because the holidays can be really difficult because of things like that. But this card points to sort of that type of sadness, feeling left out or sad. But it also asks for a change of perspective because to obviously enjoy the people that are here and that you had those experiences in the past and be grateful for those. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be sad if that's the case, if you have lost someone. But the Six of Cups does say, okay, let's simplify things and just be grateful for the things that we have. So also this week, I could see past situations, getting some sort of validation on past situations where it's validated, like, you know what, you were right. That person's somehow that a person's behavior is called out by someone else. You know what I mean? And it's like, they treated me like crap forever. And I don't feel like I really had the support from people. And so, not that you're like, this spiteful, mean person was like, yeah, that person got fired, or yeah, that person got dumped. But it's not necessarily in that spirit, but it's like, you feel validated that, like, yeah, it wasn't me. This person was really not okay, did not treat me well, and I just stood up for myself. I wasn't being some monster, um, getting divorced and taking my kids from their parent or whatever. Like, there was legitimate, real reasons this person was not cool. And it's that type of situation where the people who are on the abusive side, if not full, well, they're abusive. I think we just because someone doesn't hit you doesn't mean they're not an abusive person. And just because they're not abusive all the time doesn't mean they're not abusive. But they tend to save it. They tend to isolate people and get them alone and not do it in public. And they tend to be super nice. Like the person at work that you would never believe, so that the person getting abused, when they put their foot down, they're the jerk. They're the difficult one somehow, and it can be really lonely. So in some way, I mean, maybe maybe it is a court case, and it will be decided in your favor. The judge will have experience with people like that, and as we'll see right through it. But it can just be that you hear some injustice being, well, I mean, this could be in our political system, some justice being served on some level. That'll make you feel better. Okay, that was sort of a specific reading, but I'm going to move on to Scorpio. Hi, Scorpio. Thanks for joining me. I'm using the Anna K Tarot today. Just pull a few cards of some of the energy some of you may be experiencing. It's a general reading, so please don't email me and tell me it has nothing to do with you, because it may not. Okay. So there's going to be some sort of a wake-up call this week. And this doesn't have to be something horrible. This doesn't have to be a wake-up call like something bad and catastrophic happens. But it's a wake-up call nonetheless, where something just clicks in your mind. It's like, or you see the elephant in the room and you're like, I can't believe I didn't see that elephant in the room, and it's been there the whole time. It's an elephant. You're just like, something just catches you right. You finally hear it or see it the right way. For some reason, it clicks for you. And once that happens, there's no unknowing it. Once you find something out, 100%, like, there's no way you can unknow it and go back into denial, or not deal with it again. But it's this real, like, breakthrough for you, because it's like, now that you're seeing things clearly and seeing things a little differently, so you're seeing it, you can now move forward. And it's going to be a really good lesson for you to learn, because it's like, you're never going to go back there again. You're never going to put yourself in that situation again. And sometimes this can play out in ways like, you find out someone, I was talking to a friend, and someone at their husband's work died of a heart attack in their early 50s. Just boom, gone. And her husband came home and just got into this funk and was like, this could be me, this could be me, this could be me. Well, that's, one way to deal with it. A healthier way could be, wow, I've gotten overweight and I'm not exercising like I used to. And this is a wake-up call, and you're motivated, instead of going the kind of curl up into the fetal position and be sad about it, versus the, hey, I'm gonna start eating healthier and exercising more regularly, like using the wake up call as a motivating force instead of allowing it to go down sort of a negative spiral. So anything that was any situation like you were just like, oh, something's off, something's not right, is something hidden, is something, you couldn't maybe put your finger on it for whatever reason, you weren't seeing it. It will be illuminated, and you're going to change your thinking. It's going to be a shift in your brain, that aha moment, that thing that just switches where you're like, all right, I'm not going to deal with it anymore. Like, you see it, like you can't ignore this burning house. Like, it's kind of interesting. It's like you can't ignore the tower. It mirrors that. You can't ignore this situation any longer. And so, which is good, because now you can move forward. Like, you were stuck before, whether you realize it or not. Now you can truly move forward. On to Sag. Hi, Sagittarius. How's it going? Okay, so some of you this week are going to begin to take some practical steps. Oh yeah, Judgment again. Who am I doing? Saggy. Oh, it's me. It's interesting. Going to take some practical steps to move forward. And so I'm laughing because this applies what I came to my brain, and then I realized it was Sagittarius, which I am. So, like, you've had a wake-up call. And so if I'll use the example for me. I've been at work, and this applies to any sort of relationships, situations where there's been a lot of promises, or you've really been holding out for the potential of a situation. It's like you're finally going to get to the point where you're like, you know what? I have to go with how things are right now and stop waiting around for promises or and this isn't necessarily always outside promises. It can be you thinking, well, I see the potential in this situation. But there gets to a point where potential may never be reached, and it may be out of your control to reach that potential. So if you've asked for a raise or have been promised things and it hasn't come about, and it hasn't been one day, but if it's been, months and they aren't coming through, it's like, you're like, you know what? It's time to move on. I need to envision a new future for myself and take practical steps to move on. And this is moving on. And I'm actually finishing a job I've had for 7 years this week, and moving on to something new, and more money and a promotion and all that stuff. And I was promised all sorts of stuff, and they never came through. And so I did. I was like, well, I didn't want to leave where I am, because I really like the people, but the opportunity isn't there for me. And I even heard, well, we were thinking of this for you, and this was in the works, but it was like, you know what? Coulda, shoulda, woulda. I have an offer in hand, and I'm moving forward. So here's the offer in hand. Here's financial prosperity, taking practical steps about things that you can control to make your life better. It's on solid ground. It's a solid foundation. So what you've decided to make these changes, I know change can feel scary and unstable, but making this type of change, where you're no longer waiting on potential, is a solid change, because it's real, and you're not holding out for something that may never come about. You're moving to something that's actual, tangible. What's that? A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. And so things become more balanced. You may get a pay raise. You may have the time and energy to give back. Maybe your aha moment is I need to pay things forward and help in my community more. Um, but it's going from a situation that has been kind of stressful or just hasn't been right for some time, and making that change, really having a wake up call, like it's time to move on, it's time to act on alternatives and do something different. And again, once you have that realization, you can't unknow it. You can't unhave that. You can't stuff it back into denial. It's time. You see the potential in the future. It's time to move on to a new way of life and welcome that. And things are going to come feel more balanced because you're going to be like, okay, this feels right. I feel appreciated. I feel supported. I feel better about things by making this change. Moving on to Capricorn. Thanks for joining me, Capricorn. I am using the Anna Kay Tarot today. I like the backs of these cards. Whoops. Okay, that one wants to come out. King of Cups. We're dealing with a water sign. Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. Or you could be going for a health checkup. Oh, I like that card. The Nine of Pentacles. Meeting with some sort of healer, counselor, spiritual person. Okay, interesting. Some of you may be leaving a water sign. Some of you when the Eight of Swords under the deck, the Eight of Swords is a card of denial. So I feel like you are. This is. I feel like breaking these readings down by sign is not necessary because I feel like the same themes come up for a lot of signs. But the Eight of Swords is like this is what's coming up, and you're coming out of denial this week, like something. You're going to finally see something you weren't seeing before, and dealing with it. It's like you're no longer going to be the victim or allowing yourself to feel stuck. You're going to take matters into your own hand and deal with the situation. We have this great King of Swords right underneath it. That's like making a strategic move to move forward. And so these guys are like marrying head and heart. And I can never figure out how to tilt them. Making the changes necessary to move on. Making some practical, not just only making an emotional decision, but not just balancing those two to make it the best decision for you. Once you've kind of been like, and this can be anything. This doesn't have to be like someone's cheating on me and I finally see it and I'm getting rid of it. But it could be something like I've been thinking this person's is going to want to get married, and I'm finally realizing, even if they've been telling me that they like you, they're like, I don't believe in marriage, and you just have thought on some level you're going to be able to change them, or you keep asking for a raise and not getting it, but you think somehow there's still potential there. It's like you're not doing that anymore. You're really just seeing things for how they are, and it's like you're gonna stop trying to control outer situations and really focus on yourself and living authentically and what you want. And it's not about being selfish, but I feel like you've been directing a lot of energy outward, and maybe ignoring working on yourself recently. And Maybe you spend a lot of time supporting other people, helping other people, and you're like, it's not being selfish to respect myself and do things for myself. And I'm going to spend some time on me this week. I'm going to get a massage. I'm going to maybe buy a new outfit, go get my hair or nails done, or um, get a membership to the gym and start working out, or whatever. Maybe it's time to finally buy a new car. But to splurge a little and to focus more on yourself. This card is also about acting on alternatives and not worrying about what other people think and really living more authentically. And so if maybe you've been playing things safe and you're finally like, I don't want to be a banker. I want to be an artist. I'm an artist. And you start to, you finally accept that. Like, that's your denial. Like, I've been living inauthentically. Is that a word? Not authentically. And I need to be true to my own nature. And I'm going to figure out how to have the energy and time and energy to spend on things that I'm excited about, that I'm enthusiastic about. And these two together, you now have three kings. This is about doing what you're passionate about, that emotionally fulfills you and fires you up, and this is not work. This is like, I can't wait to do this. I can't wait to spend time doing this, time, energy, and money. Like, it feeds my soul. And maybe you guys are going to start to figure out how to shift your life so that you can be happier by doing these things instead of just doing the grind. And you may have to do both for a while. This may be something you do on the side, but it's something like you can't deny it anymore. You have to act, you have to move forward and with what really feeds your soul and makes your life rich. So this is a card about abundance, but it doesn't have to be just money. It can be, feeling fulfilled. That's it. Okay, I'm going to move on. That's the whole point. Doing what makes you feel fulfilled in life. On to Aquarius. Hi, Aquarius. Thanks for joining me. I'm using the Anna K Tarot today. The Death card, nice. Justice, wow. Five of Swords. Whew. Things are coming into balance. The Anna K Tarot, like some of the cards, let me find one, like can be really sunny and happy. All these great yellow cards. But some of the cards can be really kind of terrifying. Like, look at this. It's like a war or something. Scary card. I mean, this card just screams. Swords are mental, so this screams a mental abuse to me. I'm just gonna say that. So just because someone doesn't hit you doesn't mean they're not abusive. For the select few that applies to, I'm sorry, and there are resources out there, and I highly encourage you to seek them out, because abuse is not your fault. You never deserve it. Ever, ever, ever. I'm not a mental health professional, so if that does apply to you, please seek professional help. But for some of you, we can just be our own worst enemy with our thoughts, and we can just focus on the negative, and we could be mentally abusive to ourselves, just like with our self-doubt and fear-based thinking, and just the negative cycle of events that can go on and on and on. And so this and although we have that scary looking card, and I started out with this scary thing about abuse, things are being brought back into balance this week. So if there's been, one part of your life, and it could just be, I mean, I've had a boss that like mentally tortured me. They were just impossible to please a long time ago. So this doesn't have to be and this can be in any sort of relationship or friendship. So it might not be something that's overwhelming in your life, but it could be you just have that one friend that's just, they seem nice and then they turn around and say something or do something, and it's like letting people in situations, finding a way to remove yourself from situations like that. And some of it may just be you teach people how to treat you. It's not like a Dr. Phil thing, but you really do. And it's like you're putting an end to allowing yourself to be in situations where people are disrespectful. You're just not tolerating it anymore. Period. It's just, you're just like, you know, I sort of allowed that to happen and I'm not doing it. Again, this is not in a full out abuse situation. This is just more in those like, why am I staying in this situation if it's unhealthy? Why am I still friends with this person? You don't have to be friends with anyone. Like, why am I still friends with them? Why am I putting myself in that situation? You're really sort of transforming transforming into who you allow in your life and situations you allow in your life. And you're becoming much more discerning is what I'm trying to say. You may find out that someone who hadn't treated you well in the past sort of, you're going to feel validated perhaps. If you do have a court case, it's like maybe some legal battle is coming to an end, and the Justice card points to a positive ending to something that's just been. Oh, if you've ever been in the legal system, it's mentally exhausting, and this could just be like, oh, I can't go on anymore. It's mentally exhausting. So that may be coming to an end, and things being brought into balance. So that's very positive, but you'll have a shift in your thinking this week where you'll just feel, look at this beautiful, peaceful card. It's like you have two cards of balance where things are just being brought into balance. Wrongs may be being made right, and things are just going to feel much more peaceful than they have previously. Things will be getting resolved. Okay, and now on to Pisces. Hi, Pisces. Thanks for joining me. I'm using the Anna K Tarot. The King of Swords, Ace of Pentacles, the Three of Rods. Nice, very nice cards. So you have 2 threes. So for some of you, I could see you on a very mundane level. This just could mean going out with coworkers, going out with friends, getting out this week, going for drinks after work, getting together with friends and going for a hike or anything like that. So just feeling supported, being with groups of people. Maybe things are really nice at work. Maybe you'll have some sort of work party or get together or something like that for some reason where you just get a chance to just kind of socialize and be together and get to know each other, that type of thing. For some of you, I can see you coming together with maybe some group of people. You may want to sort of start your own business, or you're working on some sort of team. But we have the King of Swords here. And he's strategic, he's legal documents, he's making things official and such. So, I mean, perhaps you may sign a contract. It could be a gym membership. It can be anything like that. It doesn't have to be like um, some huge major thing. Maybe you're getting your mortgage, a loan, anything like that. So it could pertain to illegal documents or something that requires a lawyer or like a notary public or something like that. So you could be closing on something or signing something. But I also see some of you really, really taking a big perspective this week and looking at where you're going. Maybe you want to plant the seeds for starting a business with a group of people. Maybe these people that you're getting together with, you're sort of brainstorming. Maybe you even want to like start doing a podcast or, it could be anything. Doesn't have to be like we're opening a Subway franchise, but it could. It's like you're starting to plant the seed for something that you're starting to gather the resources, get the ideas, get the plan in place, figure out the logistics for something new in your life. Maybe you're looking to buy a home, and this is you're starting the mortgage process. You're starting to figure out how to open your own business. Even if you want to be self-employed or start something on the side, maybe you're like figuring out an LLC, anything like that. This week is a good week to start, open a bank account, start saving funds, just to start in some way. It doesn't have to be everything all at once, but it's more a slow and steady wins the race. I'm just going to start gathering all the practical pieces to make this happen. And it is something that you're not expecting. It's a long range plan. So this might be a week where you zoom out and say, okay, where am I now? Where have I been? But where do I want to go? And how can I start taking the steps now to make sure that 3 years from now I'm where I want to be, instead of just hoping and wishing and then 3 years goes by and nothing's happened because you haven't actually done anything. So this week is a week to practically start taking steps to make your dreams, your thoughts, ideas a reality. Thank you so much for joining me.